This is session 3 for Torna Egeas in Baldur's Gate 3, and what the hell? So much has happened in session 3. I don't even know where to start. Okay. I guess we'll start at the end of session 2. Torna Egeas had a very challenging decision to make. He had just murdered Nettie and needed to decide what to do. Should he go find the healer, this druidic healer, or should he go to the Githyanki Creche? He decided, number 1, he was going to go find the druidic healer. Number 2, come back to the tieflings and see if he could help save them. And then if the druidic healer, went back to the druid's magic circle area, Torna's not going back there at all, because at some point the fact that he murdered Nettie will get back to him. He decided that if that doesn't work out, he'll finally go to the Githyanki Creche as a last result to get these tadpoles out of his forehead. But these things were all kind of wrapped into Torna's mind as the sorrow of what he had to do to Nettie kind of hit him over that last night. So he wanted to save the druid as kind of like a way to, a way to make sure that his bad deeds would be forgiven eventually. So that's kind of what he was trying to do. So the decision was to get to the druidic healer. And so the group sets off kind of through the wilderness to try and find this druidic healer. The first thing they meet is 2 siblings. Okay, I forgot the names of these siblings. They were standing over their dying brother, so it was actually 3 siblings, although I'm not sure if they're actually siblings or not, but they spoke as if they were. They were talking about the absolute and that their brother's a true soul. And it really seemed like they were talking about mind flayer parasites, honestly. One of my party members mentioned that the goblin that we let die back in the tiefling camp also mentioned the absolute. So there's some sort of crazy religion happening with mind flayer parasites and absolute and true souls. And it's odd. I'm able to convince the 2 living siblings after their brother dies to just get out of here. I think there was an owlbear attack, which I might go back to, actually. I never really followed up on that. I found the owlbear's cave. Anyways, I might go back to that next time. But the point is, they saved themselves. And so the group was standing near this dying person. And when I went to, loot the dead body, the tadpole tried to take over my mind and tried to make me consume this dead brother's memories. So that was the first time that this tadpole in my head has tried to do something. Ever since then, it's just kind of been dormant. And immediately my thought was that it was a good thing Torna did not bring Nettie's poison. So that was shocking that something like that would happen. I did not consume the memories from his dead brother or the tadpole or anything, just kind of let it be. I did take his stuff. And the group continued, I think it was west was the direction. It doesn't really matter. They did end up finding a city that had been run over by goblins. Previously, the city was called Moonhaven. The goblins had renamed it Bulgrat or something like that, Bulgrat. And the party just kind of snuck around for a while. And we took out a few goblins slowly along the outskirts. We grabbed a few things like a few different food things. And we actually got through the city without really doing too much damage. And we got past the city and found the goblin camp. And we're pretty sure that this druid is being kept prisoner at the goblin camp, which was exciting. We said, okay, we're in the right place. We walk up to the goblin camp, we try and sneak up, and we try and sneak attack one of the guards. A fight ensues. One of the scouts says, I'm going to play the war drums to summon all the goblins. And I were able to take out 8 goblins or maybe 6 goblins and 2 big wargs or whatever before they can play the drums. And we've officially made our way into the goblin camp without alerting the alarm. This is kind of funny because I later find out that we could have just talked our way in, and there's a few fast travel warp points inside the goblin camp, and all of a sudden we're walking around and nobody's attacking us, even though we just murdered their entire entrance guard. So that was kind of silly there. What we do is we start we start looking around for this druid. We look around the goblin camp itself. It seems like not a lot of people are there. We cross this bridge to get to kind of where the headquarters, I think, of this absolute is. And we find there's a party going on. Goblins are just getting drunk everywhere. They're making some sort of bard sing in the middle of everything. There's a lot going on here. And again, there's another waypoint that we can warp to, like a fast travel waypoint. So we start poking around, not really talking to anybody. We can't find the druid. And so we need to start talking to people. We talk to a few different folks. My bard goes up and basically challenges the bard they had captured to a bardic duel, I guess, where they start coming up with rhymes for a ballad. Torna wins that, actually. And the goblin who has enslaved the bard, whose name is Volo, gets mad that Torna ended up winning. She says that I broke her pigeon, and so she takes him and brings him back as a prisoner, and now I have to go save him, of course. I find out a lot of other stuff. We're able to talk our way into the Shattered Temple, I think it was. That is kind of the inside where, like, kind of the zealots of the Absolute are. And we're able to just talk a little bit and find out more about what's going on. So number one, this is definitely some sort of culty religion going on. Okay, the Absolute is some sort of higher power, probably related to the Mind Flayer parasite, but these true souls are people with the Mind Flayer parasite in them. That is 100% what's going on. And for the first time, Torna actually uses the when I go up into the dialogue options, there's options to use skills, but there's options to engage with the parasite in his mind. And I used it for the first time to great effect. Holy cow, it is powerful. And I was able to get a little bit further in there and get by some goblins a little bit later. But it was a little nuts how easy it was. And that basically means that Torna and the rest of the party are true souls. So this does give us a little bit of clout with these zealots, these like the followers of the Absolute. But we got to be careful, because if any of those checks fail, it's an automatic fight. And I found that out the hard way. So I also found out there are 3 figures. This was, I forgot where I found this out, but there's 3 figures that answer directly to the Absolute. There's a pale young woman with paler eyes, and 2 other people, and I can't remember their descriptions exactly because I was just kind of like watching and the cutscene and not taking notes, but I know their names. Their names are Ragslin, Priestess Gut, and I'm pretty sure Priestess Gut is the pale woman with paler eyes, and then the Drow is what her name is. And so we and I meet the Drow in a little bit, actually, I think. But okay, so I forgot something. As we're approaching the Goblin camp for the second time in this session, the tadpoles in our head start squirming, and this happens to everyone, not just Torna. Like before, it happens to everybody, and we start to feel an overwhelming presence try to take over our minds, and essentially, I think, make us into these type of tadpole things, and or these like, I don't know, basically mind control us. And Shadowheart comes through in big. Her artifact comes out, saves us, pushes the voice out of our head, and then we're back to normal. And so, holy cow, we're in this goblin camp. There's a bunch of people who basically worship and follow this Absolute. We find out there's 3 people who communicate directly with this Absolute. And then there are true followers, which is what category Torna and the rest of the crew fall under because of this parasite in their head. And then there is basically the followers who will listen. But we're in the middle of a goblin camp, and they can, any fight is going to bring all of the goblins back on us. So it's very, very tense this entire time. As we continue exploring, looking for this druid, we do find that brother and sister we found out in the woods, and they're just sitting there getting drunk with the goblins. It's like, holy cow, what's going on here? We get inside the inner sanctum or the shattered sanctum, wherever like the central main area is for these followers of the Absolute, and we find out where Volo is. And actually, I was really happy about how this worked out, almost. So when I realized that Volo, because Torna had out-balladed him with rhymes, and Volo was going back in his cage, I realized, we can just follow Volo, and that's probably where the druid is going to be encaged. Not the case. It was a really smart idea. We found out where Volo was encaged, but the druid was not there. We do end up saving Volo, but we find another person who's getting tortured in there. Torna goes in and tries to save him, basically tells the Goblin Guard, follows Shadowheart's advice, and tells the Goblin Guard that he can torture this kid on this young man on the rack, some torture rack, better than the Goblins can. The Goblin says, prove it. Torna does not prove it, but does end up torturing this poor lad a little bit, and the Goblins basically kick him out. And man, Torna is in over his head right now. He was minding his own business before he was picked up by this Mind Flayer ship, and now he's getting out torturing. Goblins are out torturing him on someone who he's trying to save. He's sending people to cages. This Mind Flayer tadpole is squirming around in his brain and trying to take over. It's not going well for Torna. So I walk around the Goblin camp. Torna and the group kind of explores. We just can't find the druid. I have no idea. We talked to somebody who said that the druid is probably near where the wolves are, and that he might become wolf food soon, but I just could not find the wolves. I have no idea where they are. I'll have to think on that and see what to do next, but yeah, no idea where they are. We go back to the city that was taken over by the goblins. This is Bogrot or Moonhaven. On the map it says the Blighted City, so I guess it's got 3 names. We do end up talking to a goblin and gaining access, to a point where we can just walk around without being attacked. And we go up on a hill by a windmill, and we find there is basically a gnome that's getting tortured by a really bruiser squad of goblins and wolves. So Torna uses the parasite again to convince the person who's doing the torturing to stop it, and the person wanted to charge Torna a whole bunch of money to pass through. So Torna didn't have that type of money, and this goblin recognizes Torna as a true soul, and then just scams, gets out of there. We save the gnome. His name is Barlow Root. He has a medallion of his friend in the oh my gosh, what is it called? The Underdark, I believe. I should know that. Anyways, and he's going to try and help his friend. And he says, I'm always true to people, or to my friends, or something like that. So I have a feeling if we see Barlow Root again, he will help us, which is good to know. And we know where he's going. He's going to the Underdark. So if we ever head down there, we'll look for him. Okay, so basically, the next thing that we were going to try and do is head up to the Githyanki camp. At this point, we can't find the druid. Every single interaction with the goblins is tense. If anything goes wrong, it's combat. The only way to really do well is get through places easily is by using the tadpole, and I really don't think that's a good idea. Torna does not like the idea of using the tadpole, but he had to use it a few times during this session. So he starts heading up towards where he thinks the Githyanki are, the creche, and boom, someone named Raphael comes out of nowhere, just starts talking to them, and then says, why don't we come talk somewhere else other than out in the middle of nowhere? And then boom, the entire party is transported into what Raphael calls is the House of Hope. Turns out Raphael's an actual devil. He transforms himself, and he offers salvation to Torna and the party. He says, once you are out of hope, I can take the Mind Flayer parasite out of you. You will not become a Mind Flayer, basically, but we have to make a deal, aka make a deal with the devil, and you no longer have a parasite inside of you. Oh my gosh. But we're not done yet. So Torna says, I need to think about it. I can't chat now. The devil says, I will be here when all the rest of your hope fades out. Okay. So at this point, Torna is, again, he's in way over his head. The day has not gone the way he thought it was. He thought he was just going to go in, save a druid, kill some goblins, and maybe get the parasite out by evening. Not the case. Things have gone horribly wrong today. And so he's like, we're just going to make camp. We're going to collect ourselves and figure out what to do next. So he makes camp. He goes to sit down, and he's feverish. He's shivering. Lizael comes out of nowhere, puts a blade to his throat, and says, you're turning. I'm going to kill you. He's able to connect his mind flayer to hers and read her thoughts. And we learned a little bit about Laziel here. So Laziel, we know, is a Githyanki fighter. We know that we trust her intent, but not her judgment, because Githyanki culture is freaking crazy. And we find out that Laziel is not afraid of dying or anything like that. What she's afraid of is insignificance. Insignificance is her greatest fear. Okay? So she is afraid of not being able to serve whatever purpose the Githyanki serve and her queen or whatever. I still don't know that much about Githyanki culture, but insignificance is her greatest fear. So as she crept over to Torna, she basically said, I'm going to kill you, and then I'm going to kill the others, and then I'm going to kill myself, because we're all transforming. Torna tells her, wait, we need to wait, blah, blah, blah. Don't let your fears kind of cause you to move too quickly. She basically says, you're sick. If you're not better by morning, it means you're transforming into a mind flayer, and I will kill you. And she ends the conversation like that. Well, everybody goes to bed, and guess who's still sick? Torna. Torna is still sick, but then he has a dream visitor come, okay? So this dream visitor is a drow who is dressed in really nice-looking armor. She looks like a hero, just like an absolute level 20 mythical style hero. She basically says, hey, we've met before. And I said, yeah, I recognize your voice. And she says, yes, I'm the one who saved you before. And then boom, flashback to falling from the ship. Mystery solved. Finally, we have a mystery solved. This person, this dream visitor, the drow, is the person who saved me from falling from the ship. This is probably also one of the 3 people who report directly to the Absolute. And she is saving me again. She says, I will not let the parasite turn you into a mind flayer. However, she says, you need to nurture the power that this tadpole gives you. You need to be able to grow this power so that we can fight a battle for Faerun and in the war to come. Okay, so I don't even know. This is nuts. So a very challenging decision after session 2 has become an impossible decision in session 3. Torna has no idea what to do here. We're not quite done yet. We also learned a little bit about Shadowheart. Now, it's late right now. I played for too long, and so I was unable to connect with everybody from the group. I'm going to be doing that at the start of next session, but I did connect with Shadowheart because it was her artifact that saved us as we entered the goblin camp from our minds being taken over by maybe the Absolute. I was able to figure out, number 1, that she worships Shar, Mistress of the Night, because she was going to die, and Shar, Mistress of the Night, saved her. Okay? She also had a job where she needs to deliver this artifact to somebody who's waiting for her in Baldur's Gate. This is of utmost importance to her, except for also the tadpole in her mind. Her memories have also been magically suppressed. So she does not know much about even herself right now for some reason. I think it has to do with this mission she's on, because probably one of those things where, if she has family or something, they could be used against her, and if she doesn't have those memories. But she does know that she likes night orchids, the flower, and also swimming. Okay, so she tells me all this stuff. She also has a wound that she thinks is from Shar, the Mistress of the Night. And she's opened up a little bit. She also says something like the mystery, and keeping secrets is a big part of Shar, Mistress of the Night. And so opening up to me means she can trust me a lot. Okay. So she's got an artifact. She needs to deliver it, and it's important for Shar, Mistress of the Night, and it's probably going to protect us for at least a little bit. So she needs to get to Baldur's Gate, but she also has a tadpole inside her head. Also, after talking to her, I find out that everybody probably in the whole party had the same dream, with the dream visitor, the drow in amazing armor, come and tell us about the power of using these tadpoles. So everybody is being trying to lay it out here. I need to kind of wrap this up both in my mind and for my audio notes here. Everybody is being tempted by this dream visitor, the drow, and the power that comes from using this tadpole. My guess is, or I already talked to Laziel about it, she knows that this is not good. Shadowheart does not think it's a good idea to engage in the power. My guess is that maybe Gale is going to be a little bit more amenable to it. I have no idea what Asterion's going to say. And Volo is now in camp, and I've been unable to talk to him yet. Not only that, but he doesn't have a parasite, I don't think. So that's going to be interesting. And guess who was back this time? Withers. Withers was back at camp. I have not been able to talk to him yet either, but I'm planning on talking to all of those people because I have no idea what's going on. So we have the Drow, who's offering salvation, or at least power, through this tadpole. We have the actual devil, or a actual devil, who's offering a deal to get rid of this tadpole, but of course that's going to come with, some strings that are attached. And then we have Lazile's offer to go to the Githyanki Creche. And, in a metagaming sense, I know I'm not going to do that right away because we were heading up that way. And some of the creatures we saw along the route there were a little bit higher than our level and probably going to be able to destroy us pretty easily. So we're not going to be able to do that right away. And then we have this druid that I spent the majority of the session today looking for, and I haven't been able to find at all. And so this is it's getting crazy. And Torna, like I said, Torna is in way over his head. Probably in the storyline 3 days ago, he thought he was, maybe low-key the most important person in the world, being the last of the pagan bards and everything. And now all of a sudden, everyone's making these offers, and he, maybe he is the most important person in the world, but he has no idea how to react to any of this. So I'm going to end it there. It was an insane session. There was so much that happened, and I need to figure out what Torna's going to do next session, because I know for sure we're not going to the Githyanki Creche. That is too high level for us. But there's a lot to do. There's an owl bear. There's more exploration around the Goblin Caverns. There's a whole bunch of exploration around just the area. I've been following waypoints or markers on the map for the most part. There's a lot of undiscovered space, especially back in the kind of the beginning area. So I think I'm just going to start exploring over there a little bit, get some combat level up, hopefully a little bit. You don't need combat to level up. There's a few times I got experience just by passing dialogue options and stuff like that. But we need something to do, and a path that's going to either help us find this druidic healer or level us up so we can get over to the Githyanki Creche, because the other options seem a lot riskier at this point, although the Githyanki Creche does not seem great as well. One final note on that decision, Shadowheart, in Torna's discussion with Shadowheart, she said she thinks the group's best bet is to go to the druidic healer. But again, these are all bad options. So super fun so far. Can't wait to find out what happens next. Next time with Torna Egeas. Say what? That doesn't make any sense. That's not Shadowheart at all. Shadowheart just jumped to the top of the list of people that I distrust.